Welcome to the award-winning Saints Happy Hour podcast. Seriously, this podcast has won awards. American standards are dropping every day. The show features Ralph, the best host in the world, who can barely pronounce his own name, much less anyone else's.
Marcus Marquez Callaway.
Dave is that dude who loves taking bathroom breaks. He's mad about almost anything, so make sure to lower your volume when he speaks.
Put that freaking clown meme back up that I made. Jesus Christ.
Andrew has sources, watches tapes, and knows football. He rarely shows up on time and wants to commit crimes to help the Saints win.
Sean Payton would have done illegal things. Don't tell me I'm wrong, because you know it's true.
Oh, and there's also Kevin, who is great at doing mock drafts, but struggles to actually watch Saints games or have a functioning relationship.
Budrich wants to know how the doctor's doing.
That ended.
Anyway, grab a drink, sit back, and enjoy the insanity.
All right, everybody, welcome to another edition of Saints Happy Hour podcast. As always, we are brought to you by Hard Hide Ponchatoula Strawberry Whiskey. I got Kevin with me. People, remember to like, subscribe to us if you're finding us on YouTube. If you're listening to the audio-only version, set up your podcast, search Saints Happy Hour, follow us, support us. We love you. Love us back.
Give us 5 stars.
Give us 5 stars. If you don't give us 5 stars, don't even bother. So Kevin, Saints playing the Minnesota Vikings Sunday at noon. The Saints are currently a 2.5 point favorite, depending on where you like to gamble for entertainment purposes only. Minnesota, let's start like in a broad sense. The Minnesota Saints rivalry is really weird in this sense. We've played a ton of playoff games against Minnesota. We're like 5 playoff games, right? And Minnesota's won all of them but one. But the one that
mattered the most.
The one they lost mattered the most. Brett Favre cost them a Super Bowl trip, and they're never, ever getting over it. So,
and that child beater who fumbled a lot.
So, like, the Minnesota Miracle, Kirk Cousins' only playoff win, they could literally have 1,000 of those, and they're never getting over 2009. So It's a really weird kind of rivalry. Like, they hate the Saints.
And again, the thing about the Minnesota Miracle and the thing that will not bother me about it is the Saints were losing like 23-0. They were getting the brakes beat off in that game.
That's right.
They came all the way back to lead by 1 at the very end, and then the thing happened.
Yeah, and
it was house money at that point.
The thing is, too, like 2017, at the beginning of the year, like it felt like it was like, okay, they start 0-2, like Drew Brees, Sean Payton, it's over. So the fun's over. And then we're like, oh my God, they drafted all these kids. And like, you know, I remember sitting there watching that playoff game, and I think you're right, it was 17-0 or whatever it was. And my wife was like, you're not upset. I'm like, I mean, I'm mad, but I'm like, the Saints are like young, like they're going to be back next year. Like this is fun. Like they're going to be good again. Like, they're getting their ass kicked in a road playoff game. It happened.
You're right. It was 17-0.
Yeah. So I was like, it happens. And they come all the way back, and I'm not going to pretend like it wasn't horrible the way to lose like that. But in the Saints, like pantheon of like horrible losses, like Minnesota Miracle, it's not that high.
No, it's not. Yeah, it's not Mount Rushmore or whatever.
The point of this discussion is like Viking fans hate the Saints. Like they're never getting over 2009. They just, and I don't blame them.
Sit and spin. I don't know what to tell you. Sit and spin on it.
I mean, it could have been worse. It could have been a referee decision. But so the Saints are going to Minnesota, and this Minnesota team, it's really interesting in that they started 0-4. They started 0-4, right? Or 0-3. They were 5-4. Kirk Cousins is hurt. They're kind of doing the Minnesota. They're kind of doing we're not tearing it down, but we're not going for it. Like they're kind of like whatever happens. We got Josh Dobbs. We're cool either way, which I respect in a way. I hate teams that that are mediocre and try to tear it down and be better long term. Minnesota's just like, hey, we're going to roll with it. If we get the 7 seed, whatever. But this game, is really interesting, Kevin, because Minnesota does two things. They have two things that absolutely scare the bejesus out of Saints fans, and rightfully so on a couple of levels. We'll start with Josh Dobbs, backup quarterback. He's been on 4 teams in 5 years. He shouldn't be that scary. He's won 2 of 18 starts in his career. He shouldn't be that scary, but However, DA's kryptonite is mobile quarterbacks, and he basically mobile quarterbacked the Falcons to death. He just ran around and made shit happen.
Yeah.
So
Tyson Bagent did that. Tyson Bagent, the undrafted guy
for a half,
who threw 3 picks.
Yeah. So that's a concern. Mobile quarterback. Yeah. And you have a Minnesota defense, 24 sacks, 11 sacks in the last 4 weeks during their win streak. And no team blitzes 5 or more people more than Minnesota. So you got the two things we fear the most.
They lead the NFL in blitz percentage per drop back. 51.3%. The nearest team, second place on that, is the Giants. They're at 43.1%.
Brian Flores got hired as their defensive coordinator, and I feel like he looked around and was like, all we have is a couple of nice defensive linemen. I got nothing else. I'm just going to crank the double G Greg Williams blitzometer to 100 and break off the knob.
And here's what's funny. The quarterback hurries per drop back, the Vikings sit right above the Saints on that stat. The Vikings are at 9%, the Saints are at 8.4. I feel a sneeze coming, hang on. Excuse me, I probably have another.
There we go.
Damn dust and allergens in the air.
There you go.
The teams that are actually leading that are the Jets at 13% and the Lions at 11.5%. So the Vikings and the Saints are a little bit low, but I tell you what, I really think after this week, that Vikings hurried percentage number is going to go up.
Probably
look, the Saints are 5-4, first in the division. Great. I'm not advocating to tear it down or lose or any of that shit. I'm just going to be perpetually terrified of this offensive line being able to protect Derek Carr and give him enough time to find somebody.
That's the thing. The thing is with I don't know, what's the like a non-football comparison to a bad offensive line, but it's one of those things where it doesn't creep up every week, right? But when it appears, it's there, and you're like, oh God. And I feel like you never know when it's going to be bad. But on the road, in a dome, with a raucous crowd who hates the Saints, could be the week.
I'll tell you this. The other thing that scares me, and this should be the third thing.
Here we go.
Offensive penalties.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot. Where am I looking at? I had it pulled up. I apologize.
Travel penalties.
So, the Saints on offense have... Nope, that's defense. Shoot. What is it? Penalties committed by team and accepted. The Saints have committed 61 penalties. That's tied for 4th. First down they've given up by penalty, 21. Actually, that's defense. The defense has apparently gotten 61 penalties.
The defense penalties I can live with, Kevin. It's the thing that drives me crazy with
the offense has 55 penalties.
That's the ones. Those are the ones.
And that's 14th in the league.
Yeah, the thing is though, I feel like their penalties on offense have been at critical times. Where the Colts game, they're up 8 and they have the ball and they have it in the red zone and they can close it out and they go false start holding and they have to kick a field goal, which they made, and they ended up winning by 11. It didn't bother them. But like the Saints on offense, they are not good enough to, in my way of thinking, forget holding penalties that are 10 yards. The Saints, Kevin, I would venture to say the Saints overcoming 1st and 15. I wish we had that data. I would venture to say it's very, very low. Probably bottom third of the league, maybe bottom 5. Like a penalty for the Saints, it's not as bad as a turnover, but it's just the same in a sense of it's going to murder the drive. And they just their offense is not good enough to overcome 1st and 15, 1st and 20. It's not going to happen. Forget about like a sack and it's 2nd and 18. Forget that. Like penalties just kill this offense because this offense has scrapped and clawed its way to like average, you know?
Yeah.
Although I saw this stat that was really interesting. Do you know since week 5 in the NFL, the Saints are 5th in points scored?
That's wild.
So they're getting better.
I'll say this. Red zone scoring percentage, I'm looking at the numbers now. The Saints improved to 45.45% in the red zone. That puts them at 28th in the league. Mm. However, over the last 3 games, their red zone scoring percentage is 57.14, which would put them... Oh, I love how they don't number it for me now. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. About 15th.
Yeah.
Over the last 3 weeks. And then the other funny thing is, at home, the Saints are terrible in the red zone, 37.5. On the road, 52.94.
Yeah.
So they do better. They do better on the road in the red zone than at home. The Vikings, meanwhile, their defense, where can I find their name? I keep looking for Vikings and not Minnesota.
The interesting thing with the Vikings, as you look that up, the Vikings are one of the rare teams that the Saints will face in the last 8 weeks that's worse at running the ball than the Saints.
That's terrible.
As crazy as that is, Vikings rushing attack, they average 3.7 yards a carry. They're 31st in yards, and they're awful. And they traded for Cam Akers, and he was slightly below average. And Viking fans were really excited about him, but he blew out his Achilles again. So their running game is even worse than it was last week. And last week it was pretty awful.
The Vikings' red zone defense at home, 77.78%.
Whew.
That's scoring percent. That's
touchdown
scoring percentage. So I think you want the lower number.
Yeah. The Vikings,
that's bad shit.
They've clawed the Vikings have clawed their way, and they're like the Saints. If you look at their data, they're mostly a 5-4 team. The one thing with the Vikings that's changed is at the beginning of the year, they had horrific turnover luck. They were turning the ball all over the place, and they had horrible fumble luck too. I want to say they fumbled more than anybody, and they lost more fumbles than anybody, which, listen, creating fumbles or not fumbling, that is a skill. But recovering a fumble, as you know, Kevin, is just blind luck. Like, you know, it has nothing to do with skill at all. And the Vikings were really unlucky.
They lead the NFL in fumbles lost.
That's right. But it hasn't. But it's mostly contained to the first 4 weeks, where it was. It was kind of like the Saints last year. Remember, last year it was like, Kamara and Mark Ingram never fumble, and like the first 4 weeks, they're just like fumbling the ball all over the place, and you're like, what the hell is going on? Like, Kamara never fumbles. He's fumbled twice, and one of them got picked up and ran in for a touchdown. What the heck is going on? But it just over time, like if it sort of evens out. this game, if you're the Saints, I feel like it's going to be one of those games, Kevin, where I'm going to have to like control myself in this sense. I think Josh Dobbs is going to have eons to pass. Like I think the Saints are going to be like, we're going to rush 3, we're going to rush 4, and not only are we not going to rush a lot of people, but like we're going to like do that. Remember what they used to do to Cam Newton, where they would like rush 4 and it would be kind of like slow, like bull rush, and it would just be like, we're going to rush, but not really, and we're like not going to give you any lanes to run. Mm-hmm. And I feel like Dobbs is going to be back there for like ever. And it's going to be like you could time the pass rush in a sundial. And it's going to be frustrating because he's going to hit some plays, but overall, I think it's the right strategy. Like if you want to make Josh Dobbs, like make him throw for 300 yards to win this game Sunday, right?
I can see Josh Dobbs running for 80.
The thing is for me, like to me, it's almost not about his rushing yards, Kevin. It's about like if he rushes for 65, but it's 1 40-yard run and 1 15-yard run and then 3 other short runs, that's okay. The thing that I don't want is Josh Dobbs ran for 97 yards on 12 carries. And it's like every third down, he's getting 11. Scooting out of bounds right at the sticks, right? Mm-hmm. Like over and over again. Like he's going to have a couple of runs. Like that's going to happen. But you can't have him you can't have him do what Trevor Lawrence did on Thursday night.
Right. Where
he runs for 60, but it's on like 11 carries. You can't have that. You can't have that. So where are you like where are you on the Saints like offense? Like what's your expectations going into these games now? Because they've, like you said, they've kind of righted the ship. But like, what's your expectation? They're going on the road. Minnesota's an average defense. That blitzes a lot. Like, what's your expectation for this offense going forward? Because they have playmakers, but the offensive line sucks. They can't run the ball. They have trouble closing out games. Like, what's your expectation this week and the rest of the year? Like, what are you going to look like? What would be for you a good Sunday? Like not winning or losing, obviously, but like the offense. What do you want out of the offense Sunday? And you'll say like, okay, offense, that was good enough. It's thank you for helping us win, or it's not really your fault we lost the game. That was good enough. Like, what's your expectation of the offense every week the rest of the way?
I mean, I would say reduction in penalties. Like reduce the penalties and get the running game going a little bit more. It'd be nice to see Derek Carr throw for over 300 again. Mm-hmm. He's only done it 4 times this season.
Yeah.
He's been below 200 3 times this season. I would like to see him get over 300 yards.
Yeah,
we have yet to have a runner get 81 or more yards.
Oh my God.
Kamara got 80 yards rushing in the 34-0 win over the Patriots. And that was when the Saints should have been taking time off the clock.
Yeah.
And they still couldn't get anybody over 100 yards.
That's the moment. And it was fun, obviously kicking the Patriots in the teeth. Like it was fun. But that was the moment where I was like, oh my God, this running game, it's terrible. And I don't think it's ever going to be average, because if you can't get your running game fired up when you're shutting out a team on the road, then it's like this running game is never even going to be average. To me, just get it to like the 22nd or 23rd best running game. For me, the Saints, like they average 21.7 points a game. Like get it to 20 the rest of the way, because you're playing a lot of bad teams, and get it to 24. And more importantly than that, Kevin, is for the Saints, since we are in this wonderful world where the Saints lead the NFL in interceptions, are tied for turnovers created. My biggest thing with this offense is when your defense creates you a turnover and they give you really good field position, cash it in. Like if the Saints, they get an interception or they get a fumble Sunday and it's 1st and 10 at the Minnesota 31, cash that in for points. Because here's the thing, we know their offense isn't that good. We know they can't sustain drives. So every time they get a turnover in good field position, they got to convert. They were terrible at it in Chicago. And that's the thing that I want going forward out of this offense, more than just, like you said, penalty reduction is good. Better running game. Yes, all of that. But when your defense, which has been splendid at creating turnovers, when they get you the ball in good spots, get me points. Get me points off turnovers. Because I would venture to say the Saints, they are not been good enough with that. And, we'll see. A couple more things before we get out of here. I think Skull is the dumbest, one of the dumbest, team chants that there is. Skull, Kevin, it in a weird way, it bothers me more than the Bengals with their dumb Who Day.
Why is that?
I don't
Rise
know.
Up.
And I don't know. Oh, Rise Up is just dumb.
That's just funny.
So how do you feel about Vikings fans? I really dislike the Vikings. Maybe not as much as they dislike us, but I don't
dislike.
Really
I mean, I guess I don't care enough about the Vikings or the Vikings fans. Like that one clown earlier in the week who, again, made a Katrina joke, and then got chased off Twitter when he got found out, which was, chef's kiss. That kind of stuff, that's annoying. For some reason, though, it's more personal with the Bears.
Yeah,
because of that sign guy. And personally, I hope that sign guy is having a miserable go
with the Bears
of his life.
The Bears did the sign during the 2006 NFC Championship. So it was really, really fresh. And we were going, if people like me and you that were living in New Orleans, we were at the time, we're still shoveling mud out of our houses and ripping sheetrock. We were still going through it. So the reaction to it was much more visceral. Now, when people make a Katrina joke, I'm just Katrina jokes, they only bother me in this sense of the only people that should be making Katrina jokes are the best comedians on earth. And my friend on Twitter,
is it funny?
There's been a couple people that have made jokes. But it's rare. And even if you're going to attempt it, if Dave Chappelle or whatever comedian you think is brilliant, if they want to attempt a Katrina joke, go at it. They're a professional. But you bozo guy on Twitter, don't it's not putting
right. But it's not even an attempt. It's not even an attempt at a joke. It's literally just
yes,
radar, National Weather Service or whatever it is, the NOAA overhead shot with the logo of your team over the eye of Katrina. It's just, guy, we've seen that already.
Yes.
We've seen that already. It's lazy.
Yeah.
It's fucking lazy.
MS Paint, man. Come on, do better. So I the Minnesota fans, and the thing is, Minnesota, they're a very tortured fan base. They might even, I would say, if you rank tortured fan bases.
Oh, they're top four.
Minnesota,
top four, I would say.
Cleveland. Buffalo. Probably the Falcons would be top four.
Detroit.
Yeah, but Detroit, the problem for Detroit, Kevin, is they've been so bad. They don't have a list of Cleveland's we got the drive, we got the fumble, we have historical playoff crushing losses. Minnesota.
What about the Jets?
Same thing with the Jets. Like, they don't have any crushing playoff loss. Like, you know, like they're so bad, they don't even reach a level of like historic, famous playoff losses. Like, Minnesota has a ton. Cleveland has a bunch. Buffalo has a ton and has created even more in the last 5 years to go with the 4 Super Bowls, right? So Minnesota is a tortured fan base, and I should feel bad for them, but I don't, and I hate them. And I want this win. I want this win so bad because I will be honest. I have planted my flag, Kevin, on the Josh Dobbs. It was a fun story last week. Thank you for beating the Falcons in the most hilarious way possible. You didn't know the plays. You were staying at an extended stay Embassy Suites. Your coach was telling you the plays into your headset right before they were happening. It was delightful because it was Atlanta. I have planted my flag that is a 1-week story. And this week, Dobbs is going to go back to America's going to realize, oh yeah, he's a backup quarterback and he's kind of terrible. And
right, he's a journeyman for a reason.
He's a journeyman for a reason, and the Saints are going to win quite comfortably. I have planted my flag there. I'm not moving it.
Okay.
So my question to you is, when we always end this, are you changing your prediction? Have you changed your mind?
No. I don't believe I have changed. I don't know if I've changed my mind yet on a score. It's like,
yeah,
I don't know.
Wise choice, sir.
I make my pick on Tuesday and I stick with it. I don't like to give myself any wiggle room or say, oh, see, the thing I said Tuesday on the big show came true, or oh, the thing I said, man, these allergies are killing me. The thing I said on the preview show, oh no, that's the one that came true. We're going to count that. I like to say it one time and just let it ride out. I want the Saints to win. I want the Saints to win. I want the Saints to embarrass the Vikings. I want whatever that gaudy monstrosity is in downtown Minneapolis. I want tens of thousands of people to leave that building at 3:30 on Sunday disappointed.
Yeah. Final thing, Justin Jefferson from the Vikings, he's been injured. He's been out. You mean
Lazarus? Yeah,
Lazarus. So of course, he's activated. They put him on. They took him off the IR. They activate him. He's got like a 21-day window. They either activate him, put him on the active roster, or he's out for the rest of the year. He practiced Wednesday because he's Saints week. Of course he did. If you were diagnosed with a terminal disease, do you think if you got put on the injury report for the team that was playing the Saints that week, do you think you would be cured?
It's really a yes or no, so I'm just going to say yes
I think I would be. Like, I think
so easy.
I tell you what, wait a minute. Somebody ought to put you on their IR and then the active list, and it might fix your arm.
That's right. They could say it could be like, did not practice arm.
Right.
Like, I need the Saints. Falcons. I need you to do me a solid. Put me on the next, because they have a bye week. Put me on the injury report when you play the Saints. Ralph Marlboro, limited arm.
Yeah, he was just on the bike. His legs work, so we put him on the bike.
We put him on the bike. He did some stretching. He's questionable with an arm. And then come Sunday at kickoff, I'll have 2 working arms again. And I'll thank you forever. I won't root for you, Falcons, but I will thank you. Maybe I'll make one less Arthur Smith joke per week. So, guys, thanks for joining us. Thanks for finding it. If you found us on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Find us wherever you get your Saints podcasts. And listen, we need the support. Thanks to Kevin for hanging out with me, previewing the Vikings. Thanks to Thomas back in Poland, running the show, the best producer on earth. And guys, until next time, the bar is closed.